Alright guys, I just got done swimming. So I looked at my YouTube channel and there was a post that I had put somewhere else and someone agreed. I spoke up and said basically have your kids. Have your kids while you're young, guys. Don't let anything stop you from having kids. So when we moved into our trailer back in 94, September 30th, 94, um, we moved in and we had, at the time, I had my firstborn son and I was pregnant with my second one. And I was moving furniture. And one of my relatives is like, why can't Ben move the furniture? Why are you doing that? You're pregnant. I'm like, oh, I'm fine. That was September and I had my son in December. So, I mean, I shouldn't have been lifting furniture, right? Not at that point. So when we moved in there, we were there for a while. We made do with very little. Having your kids in a trailer, there is nothing wrong with that. I had people look at me like, oh my goodness, you have two kids in a trailer? Well, we ended up having five in a trailer. So, two, they were like, where are you going to put the other one? And I'm like, we're fine. We can do bunk beds, right? So then the third one came along and we ended up having two bunk beds in the bigger room and we took the smaller room. And then when we had five, we had what, 6.5 years or so between the fourth one and the third one. So we ended up having to add on a porch. On the porch we added like a bedroom because our kids were preteen. And then the time we had our fifth one, the little one, with us in bed, um, we were starting to see the kids get older and they were pretty independent, doing stuff all on their own. They weren't home that much. So I remember one of the relatives said, use the outside, you can, at least you got a nice yard. It wasn't like a dumpy trailer park. It was one of the nicer ones in Concord. And they're like, at least you got a nice yard the kids can play in. So use everything. Use like the yard, use the parks. We were always like at church or relatives' homes. So it's just a place to, work around. So when I was home during the day, homeschooling a lot. Um, and then when I wanted to go out, we used the outside resources. But when I was home, it was a great way to, amongst the busyness, to have a trailer to keep us close. The trailer was small enough that we had to work together. And it's a nice thing when you have not had, I was taking parenting classes and so when something falls through, and you've got a trailer and you're holding, it's almost like it's the glue holding you together compared to when we had the bigger home in Webster, 3 bedroom on a lake, finally rewarded for hard work that my husband and I did. We were there 4 years and I could see the difference. I could see the difference with, our kids having, the last two having their own room. The home was big enough with a basement and a garage and the lake, to be like, okay, where are my kids? Where are we eating dinner? Where are we, are we eating together? Are they downstairs eating? And, it's both of them are good because we had the space to stretch out, right? But I'll tell you something about a trailer, you gotta work together more. So that can definitely bring closeness in a family. And I don't regret those days at all. Um, I was telling Leandro in an email, my husband's trying to backtrack with everything. He's saying he didn't know about taxes now. 2021. He didn't know about taxes. He gave me his W-2 form and he knew exactly what was going on. So he's just trying to wiggle out of this, the fault for divorce any way he can. He just wants out. But yeah, I don't regret the trailer. I had home births in that trailer, so yeah, I didn't have room for a home birth, and we still had a home birth. So I had my home birth with my first home birth with my third son. I had in the bigger room with a crib set up in there. And then the second one I had in the smaller room. And then the time I had my third and last baby, my fifth son, I had him right on the couch. And it was so nice because this was in the living room because the kids were sleeping. And I mean, I had my longest labor with him. I mean, when I was in the hospital 3 days with my first one, we were not committed to the Pitocin until like, the last day I was there. So when I had a home birth with low iron, my midwife was like, "You are going to push Melissa and get this baby out, or we are going to, get you to the hospital." So my iron was low, and it was like, I want to say like 48 hours nonstop of labor. It was my hardest baby, my hardest labor I had. And I was in the tub, and he was on a nerve on my leg, and I couldn't get any relief. And, so he was the hardest one I had. But even with that, I mean, throughout the night, the kids slept. They were sleeping, they were happy. Um, but in the end, I was in a lot of pain, and, so they woke up hearing me. And once he was born, they were all of them, woke up, came out, saw their little baby brother. And, my older kids, even as preteens, loved their little brothers. They were never, there was never no divisiveness. There was never any like, "Oh no, we got another kid, what a brat." And my fourth son wanted us to have more. He was like, "I want a sister." So when you have a close-knit family, as we did, there's none of the stuff you see. Like when I went to public school, there was a lot of kind of distancing yourself from your younger brother. There was like, "Oh, we're in this grade, we're the cool people. You're in that grade. We don't want to be around the younger kids." So you don't really see that in the homeschooling. You just see like a huge amount of love among the siblings. And so I have no regrets. So have your kids when you're young. Have them. There's only a certain amount of time you can. I've just been having work on call. That's it. Just on call, just for helping somebody. It hasn't been, like a real job at all. Right now, I don't have a job again with her unless she wants me. Like she will let me know, if she wants me. But there's nothing like official. So don't, pray to God and He will help you. And then I did have a job come through that I start tomorrow, and it is official. So I was just like, "Thank you, God, you answered prayer." And I've been working at leveling myself up. So I'll be working, and I don't need my husband's money. I don't need it. The whole point of this, me going through this divorce, was to establish truth. It was to establish the facts that this is what really happened, and to go against my husband's lies. So he has been extremely foolish. I still love him, but extremely foolish, all because of, going up against his will, or telling him he's going to be in the truck. He made a mistake, and instead of owning up to it and being like, "You know what, I am really sorry, I pushed you. I can understand why you had me in the truck. I was not being very nice." In 2021, it was less than a month. I had forgiven him, and we were starting to work on our relationship again. And I was trying to help him. He was depressed or whatever. I brought him a motorcycle. When I was sick, there was no way I could keep up with ordinary, monthly payments being sick. So we had the COVID declaration in place. We had the COVID help to help me be able to stay on, everything that I need to stay on. Because when you get sick and your health goes down, you need to stay on your bills still. So, being the one in charge of all finances, that's exactly what I did, and I hear him whining about this through his non-attorney. So, he didn't have any answers, and when you are the decision maker, which I was, he didn't want anything to do with money. You are going to make some tough decisions sometimes. So, have your kids. I have no regrets. If you have a divorce later on, you did what you were supposed to do. You had your kids. My job was to serve my husband after myself, serve my husband, and do it for God. So there is no loss. When you are doing things for God and not just for that person, you have no loss. Your reward will not be taken. Have your kids while you can. Just, I'm telling you, like right now, I mean, I would not have the energy to keep up with the three little ones I had, plus the cancer, plus two more, the crises that come, the waves, the hits with family, the hits with the disconnects. When winter came, he didn't have his regular pay. I wouldn't be able to keep up with that as much now. And I'm pretty energetic. And even if I did keep up with it, it's harder sometimes for your partner. Your partner's not in the same place. It is probably harder for him. I think there is a time where you do have, like, okay, I did the hardest part of my life. Now it's time for me to have some freedom and have some time to myself. I think that's exactly what midlife is, and that's why so many have a midlife crisis. But what it should be is looking back and saying, okay, where have I, done well? Where haven't I? What does the future have? It's almost like a reset for life. So, it would be weird for me to have that many children now. So, no regrets at all in life, and that's how you want to live. And as far as the future, this ought to be the golden years for me and my husband, where we just start having tons of time alone. Our marriage had a lot to deal with. It did, but we also had so much fun, and we were happy, and even amongst financial difficulties, I mean, my family grew up poor. You can still have fun. You can still be happy. So if you choose not to have your kids when you're young, you miss that whole 30 something year, 35-year opportunity to build your family. Later on in life, your kids become extremely, even more valuable to you, and you appreciate them even more. So that's what I got for now, ladies.